Hey, it's Taylor. This is my first post of 2012. I haven't posted in a while, which is really sad, but I guess the New Year's does a lot of good things to people, and they start doing all those things they decided not to do last year. So, today I'm just going to read a little bit. It's from one of my most favorite books in the whole world, called The Wanderer. And this is by Sharon Creech. I've loved this book since I was a little girl. Like, love. It has inspired me in so many ways. It's very well written, really easy to read, and I hope you enjoy. Chapter 1. The Sea. The sea, it rolled and called to me. Come in, it said, come in. And in I went, floating, rolling, splashing, swimming, and the sea called, come out, come out. And further I went, but always it swept me back to shore. And still the sea called, come out, and in boats I went, in rowboats and dinghies and motorboats, and after I learned to sail, I flew over the water, with only the sounds of the wind and the water and the birds, all of them calling, sail on, sail on. And what I wanted to do was go on and on, across the sea, alone with the water and the wind and the birds. But some said I was too young, and the sea was a dangerous tempest. And at night I dreamed a terrible dream. A wall of water, towering, black, crept up behind me and hovered over me, and then down it came. But always I awoke before the water covered me, and always I felt as if I were floating when I woke up. I'm not always such a dreamy girl, listening to the sea calling me. My father calls me three-sided Sophie. One side is dreamy and romantic, one is logical and down to earth, and the third side is hard-headed and impulsive. He says I am either in dreamland or earthland or muleland, and if I ever get the three together, I'll be all set. But I wonder where I will be then. If I'm not in dreamland or earthland or muleland, where will I be? My father says my logical side is most like him, and the dreamy side most like my mother, which isn't entirely fair, I don't think. My father likes to think of himself as a logical man, but he is the one who pores over my pictures of exotic lands and says things like, we should go on a safari, and we should zip through the air in a hot air balloon. And although my mother is a weaver and spins silky cloths and wears flowing dresses, she's the one who gives me sailing textbooks and makes me study water safety and weather prediction, and says things like, yes, Sophie, I taught you to sail, but that doesn't mean I like the idea of you being out there alone on the water. I want you to stay home, here, with me, safe. My father says he doesn't know who my hard-headed mule side resembles. He says mules don't run in the family. I am 13, and I'm going to sail across the ocean, although I would like to go alone. Alone, flying over the water. I'm not. My mule self begged to place aboard a 45-foot sailboat with a motley crew, 3 uncles and 2 cousins. The uncles, Stu, Mo, and Doc, are my mother's brothers, and she told them, if the slightest harm comes to my Sophie, I'll string you all up by your toes. She isn't worried, although maybe she should be, about the influence of my cousin Brian. Quiet, studious, serious Brian. But she frets over the bad habits I might learn from my other cousin Cody. Cody is loud, impulsive, and charming in a way my mother does not trust. He's too charming, she says, in a dangerous sort of way. My mother isn't the only person who is not thrilled for me to take this trip. My uncles Stu and Mo tried their best to talk me out of it. It's going to be a bunch of us guys doing guy things, and it wouldn't be a very pleasant place for a girl. And wouldn't you rather stay home, Sophie? Where you could have a shower every day, and it's a lot of hard work. And yakety-yak they went. But I was determined to go, and my mule self kicked in, spouting a slew of sailing and weather terms, battering them over the head with all the things I'd learned in my sailing textbooks, and with some things I made up, for good measure. Uncle Doc, the good uncle, I call him, because he's the one who doesn't see any harm in me coming, said, hey, she knows more about boats than Brian and Cody put together. And so they caved in. There are 2 other reasons my mother has not tied me to my bed and refused me to go. The first is that Uncle Doc gave her an extensive list of the safety provisions aboard the boat, which include a satellite navigator, the global positioning system. The second reason not a very logical one, but one that somehow comforts my mother, is that Bompy is on the other side of the ocean. We will end up in Bompy's arms, and she wishes she could join us for just that moment. Bompy is my grandfather, my mother's father, and also Uncle Doc, Stu, and Mo's father, and he lived with my parents for many years. He is like a third parent, and I love him because he is so like me. He is a man of three sides, like me, and he knows what I am thinking without having to say it. He is a sweet man with a honey tongue, and he is a teller of tales. At the age of 72, Bompy decided to go home. I thought he was already in his home, but what he meant by home was the place where he was born, and that place was the rolling green hills of England. My father was wrong about mules not running in the family. When Bompy decided to return to England, nothing was going to stop him. He made up his mind, and that was that, and off he went. Bye-bye, Bompy. Alright, so that concludes the first chapter. I'm not going to go on, lest I bore you all to death. Anyways, this is an amazing book. I really would encourage you all to read it. It looks like this, with a girl and a boy and a round thing. It's really good. Like I said, it's really inspired me. As you guys probably know, I love to write. And when things inspire me, they stick. So if you are a creative-minded person, I would really encourage you to read it. It's, like I said, it's really easy. Look at the words. The words are pretty big. And I read this when I was like, I think when I was first, maybe in 3rd grade. I don't know. But if I could read it then, you could read it now. Unless you're like 2. Anyways, I'm really glad you have stopped by to watch this. I'm really sorry to all of you that I haven't posted in months, but this is a new year. Hopefully this will stick, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.